The last news segment we're going to do is always going to be a quick one, Marty. Random thoughts, and I'll start. Here's my random thought. How generous was it of the University of Michigan to self-impose a penalty on their head coach, Jim Harbaugh, who's going to sit out the first 3 games of the regular season against teams that I could coach the Michigan Wolverines at, as long as the 2 assistants were with me, and still win those games. Now, this is after that they originally – there was going to be a 4-game suspension that was going to include a Big Ten game against Rutgers. That game would probably be about a 45-point spread in Vegas. So they were going to suffer through one conference game. But the committee at the NCAA said that that was unacceptable. And so Michigan's reaction to that, and the committee, when the committee says it's unacceptable for him to sit for 4 games, it doesn't mean because the NCAA committee wants him to only sit for 2.
Right.
It probably means it's going to be more eventually. And I don't even know where that is, and I don't want to get hung up in that in here. But the bottom line is, how arrogant is it for the University of Michigan to respond to that committee's statement of basically saying, without saying it, 4 is not enough, to self-impose a 3-game suspension? And that is just ridiculous. It's ridiculous for Michigan. It's ridiculous that the NCAA hasn't determined what this penalty is going to be. Because from what I understand, and you follow college football a lot closer than me, this has already gone through the court systems, for lack of a better term. It's basically, even though he hasn't admitted it, Jim Harbaugh has basically admitted by offering this penalty that he wasn't truthful during an NCAA investigation about him recruiting people during the COVID times without getting knee deep into what this is all about. But I just think it is absurd that I think they should be embarrassed that their response, when the NCAA basically said, no, 4 is not enough, they came back and said, okay, we'll do 3 instead. Yep. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. You follow this much closer than me. Okay.
Here's the thing, too. This 3-game suspension is a 3-day suspension because he is allowed to coach the team throughout the week, all 3 weeks. The only time he's not allowed to have contact with the team is game day. Now, he's appointed, and they're making this kind of celebration. He's giving an offensive coordinator 1 game, a defensive coordinator another game, and he's giving 2 position coaches a half each in the middle game where they will act as the head coach, which is absolutely ridiculous. But they've made a game out of this where, the NCAA is so afraid of being sued by these schools. That it used to be the NCAA was all powerful. Now these schools can sue them, out of existence. But I agree that to impose this penalty, but then to say, hey, he's still going to practice with the team all 5 days of the week or 6 days of the week, watch film with them every night, and sit out these 3 games. It's outrageous. And it kind of leads into one of mine, which is, I saw an interview with Kirby Smart yesterday on College Game Day, the Georgia head coach. They're 2-time defending national champions. They've had 11 kids cited for speeding since January 15th, including a fatal crash that killed 2 university employees, one of which involved Jalen Carter, the first-round draft pick of the Eagles. And in this interview, Kirby Smart said, and I want to get this quote right, I see my job not as much winning games as I do improving creating better men and citizens, which I thought was one of the funnier things I've ever heard a college head coach say.
So he's failing.
Not only that, but Georgia's not paying him $10 million a year to create better men and citizens. They're paying him $10 million a year to win national championships. I would love to know from college campuses how much time actual kids spend with their head coach, meaning one-on-one.
Right.
I've seen Deion Sanders, when he took over at Colorado, was just, and I'm a Deion Sanders fan, but when I've seen the way he treats some of the players, and I don't know if there's one on YouTube where he lets the team vote during a team meeting on whether kids should remain part of the team. And what the kids didn't know is that the kid was sitting right there. And the team voted him off, and Deion basically said, get your stuff and get out of here. Coaches have way, way too much power, but the sanctimonious stuff with, we're here to create, we're going to take care of your kid for the next 4 years. Kirby Smart, and obviously I don't know Kirby Smart. My guess is Kirby Smart couldn't care less whether any of those kids graduate. He cares whether they perform on the football field. And why? Because that's his job.
And he's getting
His job is
fired
not
if
to
they don't.
teach. Yes,
Right.
exactly. Which cracks me up because, as you know, schools can always fire coaches for cause. You know what for cause doesn't include at any level, high school, college, or pros? Winning games, which I will never understand. So if you want to fire a coach and not pay him, it has to be because he embarrassed the university or assaulted a kid. But if a guy goes 0-10 for 3 seasons and he's still got $20 million left on his contract, you fire him, you still got to pay him that $20 million. So the way they structure this with the student athlete, and it's such a joke. I'm glad the kids are cashing in now to some extent. This was an interesting thing real quick. Joe Burrow has a base salary of $940,000 this year. Arch Manning, who will be the backup quarterback at Texas this year, who is the nephew of Peyton and Eli, has a $2.1 million NIL deal for this year. So his base salary as the backup quarterback at Texas will be roughly $1.6 million more than Joe Burrow is making as the quarterback at Cincinnati this year. Now, I know people will say, well, Joe Burrow got a $24 million signing bonus. He did. And that's, we can argue about that. But the point is, it's crazy the way some of this stuff is going. And again, I don't begrudge the kids, and these companies are out there, but boy, that we talked about the high school portal. The transfer portal in college is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And it's basically you're buying players. Miami has done it. USC has done it. Oklahoma has done it. All these schools. And then they pretend, well, we don't have anything to do with this. The kid comes here because he wants to come here.
Notre Dame quarterback. The Notre Dame quarterback I watched.
Sam Hartman. Yep.
5th year. Do you think he went there? You think he's not getting paid a few bucks to be there?
That's right. The mountain man with his the beard and good Lord. And I did have one thing, and one thing additionally I wanted to say, or 2 things real quick. One thing is a real good one. Kyle Custis, the tight end for God, I lost it off the top of my head there, but I think it's Cape Henlopen, collected backpacks and school supplies for children in need. And that's just something I think we need to celebrate. We saw a couple times last year where players were doing different things to try to help their community, and I love that. Second thing was, and this is high school football related somewhat, but ECHS had a media day a couple weeks ago, early college high school at Delaware State University. They posted a bunch of pictures to Twitter and Facebook. The pictures are of these kids, and they're all with the Chucky doll from the Child's Play movies. And I have to know, what is the story with the Chucky doll? And it's funny, Benny Mitchell replied and said, it's kind of like the kangaroo at Wilmington Friends. And he's right. There's no rhyme or reason to these things, but I need somebody at ECHS. I know they don't get a lot of press, but we gave them a good bit today. You got to get back to me about what is the deal with Chucky from Child's Play being in all these pictures with your football players. So
that's funny. And you're aging yourself, Marty, that we know who Chucky is.
That's right.
All right. Those are our random thoughts today. One last one for me. Name, image, and likeness. Put a cap on either the player or the team and make it sort of like the salary cap in professional sports. Each college has X number of money that they can claim as name, image, and likeness money. And you decide whether the Manning kid's getting all of it or whether you're going to divvy it up to other people. That might be the only way to get this thing under control. Otherwise, it's going to be crazy out of control in the next several years. All right, that's going to